have here Susan Jane. She is she calls herself the intuitist. So who better than to speak as an authority on this subject of accessing the powers of our intuition. So she's been working in various different guises, but always using her intuition. So she's been coaching, mentoring. So she sees herself as a spiritual mentor as well as a life coach. And she's written, I don't know how many books, but you're right anyway.
One official one, yeah. One official one. I've got a couple in the background still.
There you are, a couple on the boil.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there'll be great works as well. So she has a lot of wisdom and insight to offer on this subject. So she's been encouraging people for over 30 years to really look deep and to access their intuition as a means of helping them make empowered, confident decisions in life in a way that sits in alignment with their core values. So, So I want to ask, the first question, so we'll ask you what you think intuition means, so what it is and what it isn't, and then we'll go into how you discovered how you discovered your intuition or your intuitive path in life. Okay. Yeah. So straight away, how do you define intuition, and what is it and what isn't it?
Okay. Well, this could take a long time, but I'll keep it short and brief. Now, with intuition, what it is to start with is that we have a physical body, which is what we can see, and we have our spiritual body, which is what people would call our soul, something to that effect. So our spiritual body's there. Intuition is the communication between the physical body and the spiritual body, to communicate, because a spiritual body doesn't talk, it doesn't feel, it doesn't use those 5 physical senses. So it has to communicate, and the spirit comes into us in vitro when we're born, and the spirit needs to be able to communicate to the physical body to achieve its life purpose. So that is what intuition is. Now, I can't prove that to you, and I can't say that that's the be all and end all, but I know it is like that because I've experienced leaving my body 3 times, deliberately anyway, or not really deliberately. The first time was during a very violent sex attack, when I actually left my body and watched the culprits attacking my body inside the car, my physical body, and I was standing outside of the car watching it happen. There was no emotional attachment. Our spirit body does not have an emotional attachment to our physical body. I stood there and just watched. I just watched in awe. Didn't quite know what was happening, but couldn't quite move away either. And when I did look around, because this was happening in the back of a car and I was outside of the car, when I did look around, there was all this like a blue hue. It was like midnight in a full moon. So it was like a full moon and that beautiful blue glow come through. That was the first time. 12 months to the day after that attack, I had a near-death experience while I was at work, and I left my body. I remember moving up. They had obviously laid me down when I passed out, which I didn't know, but I can remember everybody looking around me, and I was moving up, and their gaze wasn't following me. I was going up and thinking, hey, I'm here, and they were all looking down, and my body was laying down there, and I had a near-death experience. Now, I went through what most people do, or well, what I did, with not so much the tunnel, but a path and direction. And I can go through all that. That's another big story. But the third time I left my body was done deliberately, because I am a theory tester. I like to test theories. I read so many books about spirituality, about self-help, all that sort of thing. I had to test them to see if they would sit right with me. And so I tested astral traveling. It took me 6 months, about 8 months actually. It took me a little bit longer, but every night I would practice because I wanted to leave my body. Now, when I did leave my body, I was so excited, I came straight back in, because again, the spirit doesn't have that emotional connection. So when I became emotional, it just went straight back into the body. So that's how I know that we have two bodies, and that's how I know that intuition is that connection, that communication between the two. Does that make sense to you, Esther?
Yeah, yes, it does. It definitely does. So I like that, yeah, interpretation, because yeah, it makes it very, very clear, doesn't it? Clear cut. So as soon as you feel that some emotion going on, you know that you're not in your spirit self, you know, in a way.
Yeah. And I mean, with the way it communicates with us, it communicates emotionally. So it can create those emotional feelings and experiences with us. It communicates with us mentally. So we get those thought patterns coming through.
Right,
It
okay.
communicates with us physically. I used to get very blotchy hands when somebody around me needed a healing. So my intuition was communicating with these blotchy hands. And then it does also communicate environmentally. So around us, we will see things like 11:11 on the clock, and that means something. Now, you know 11:11 is going to come on the clock twice a day, but how often is it that you, for some reason, decide to look and see the clock is 11:11? That's your intuition.
Okay. So where does this intuition come from? So that's what I like to know. It's like, where's the origin, you know? Is it just our higher self or what?
Well, it's coming from our spiritual self, yeah. And the spirit self, well, it's sent into the physical body when we're first born, so even before we're born. So we're coming through that aspect. So the spirit, when we talk about life purpose, it's the purpose of the spirit, not the purpose of the physical body. The physical body is here to support the spirit, and the spirit comes into the body to learn or to go up another level. So you've got to realize that spirit doesn't connect with the 5 physical senses. You have to be in a physical body to do the 5 physical senses. So for the spirit to experience things, it comes into the body. Now, the physical body is the short term. We die, obviously. We've got this long in this life. We have a lot of our DNA. We have that area that comes right through. So we have that physical aspect that comes right through. But the spirit has also been in other bodies. The spirit doesn't die. It just moves on. So the spirit, and say I called my spirit George. George could have been in another body, in another time. And they are usually, the higher level you are in your spiritual journey, the more your spirit has been in another body. And that's where we get that reincarnation. We don't reincarnate as the same body, physical body. We reincarnate with our spiritual body.
Oh, right, okay.
No, I'm pretty deep now.
Wow. That was
sorry.
Topic to cover at 9 o'clock on Thursday morning here. Yeah, no, it's intriguing. No, that's fine. It's fine. It's your area of expertise. So it's good to explore this and just to be open-minded about it, I suppose. There are people that are skeptical about past life experiences and so forth. But this sort of endorses that in a way, doesn't it? Because our spirit has been here or been around in many different guises and forms.
Yeah. You know, when you hear about, when you the Bible turns around and says that we can live
forever. Well,
forever,
no, not forever.
What do I call it? Oh gosh, I'm not really good with the Bible, but forever. You know, you've got that everlasting life. That's the spirit side, because we know the physical side can't do it. The spirit side can do it.
Right.
And it just keeps going on and on and on. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we're getting really deep there. Come on, lighten it up. Oh my God.
So basically, does it always have to be that you have to have really sort of traumatic events to really connect to your intuition? No, it doesn't have to be, because obviously in your case, that's what was it's the primary trigger, was it? Or have you always known from even before then?
No, I knew. Look, we were all intuitive, right? So because my business is called The Art of Intuition, because I believe that with that we can hone it in. We can hone those skills in. If we put it down to it's just communication between the physical and the spiritual, if that's all it is, then we have that ability to really practice it and go with it and make it stronger. We can exercise it and practice it. So I was always intuitive, but I didn't know that. Like, I remember coming home once, I was in primary school, and I said to my sister, we just left the school, and I said, oh, Mum's in a really grumpy mood, you know, should we go a bit slower home? And she looked at me quite disgusted and went, you know, like, how would you know? Of course, we got home and Mum was in a grumpy mood. I didn't know what periods were in those days because I was in primary school, but she was, you know, going through that sort of stage of PMS. So when I got home and Mum was in a grumpy mood, my sister tore strips off me. It was like it was my fault. It was like I caused it, I created it. So from that moment, I stopped verbalizing. I stopped talking about what I could see, what I knew, what was happening. So did I know I was intuitive? Absolutely not. Had no idea. Even when I was attacked, I didn't know that what happened to me had happened to me. I knew weird stuff was going on, but I didn't know what it was. It wasn't until I left, it wasn't until I thought I was experiencing a postnatal depression, and my ex-husband dropped me outside the doctor's surgery and said, oh, for God's sake, go and get something for it. I didn't know I was broken. I didn't know there was something wrong, but he obviously felt there was. And the doctor, thank goodness, didn't put me on Valium, the drug of choice in those days. She gave me a list of books to read and said, start reading a book. She said, there's really nothing wrong with you. Start reading a book. You need to change the way you're thinking. And that's what I did. And when I started doing that, like, we didn't have internet then. So it was to the library, 10 books at a time, take them home. I had 3 kids under the age of 3, so not a lot of space and time. I would read those books, and it was those books that made me realise what had happened. I didn't know what a near-death experience was. I knew what had happened to me, but it wasn't until I started reading those books that it started to make sense. And when it started to make sense, then I could start putting all these things in place. So yes, even though I still don't think the attack was a catalyst, it was reading that book and getting the understanding that was the catalyst, because then I could go back and go, that's what was going on. And I always swore I would never ever share that story of the pack rape. I swore I'd never would share it. Only reason I would share it is if I could help somebody else. And when I started talking about intuition and getting in touch with who we are and learning to trust ourselves and those intuitive messages, that's when I knew I could share the story, because I just felt it was something that could help someone else. And we could look back in some of the situations that we've had in our life and we could see a positive, an understanding. I got a real positive out of that. As horrible as it was, I mean, I lost tooth, you know, I was strangled, I'd passed out, they thought I was dead, they chucked me out of the car, you know, like, for everything that it was, I could see a positive. It was just amazing to go back into it in my own mind and think, well, this is what happened. And I just stood back and I didn't have the emotional attachment. What did happen was, the reason why, I'm probably going in too deep, but
no, it's fine. You can carry on.
What was happening was when I was being attacked, I remember thinking, there's nothing I can do to stop them. There was 3, and obviously I was not big enough to stop them. So I remember thinking, what can I do to stop them doing it again to somebody else? That was what was going through my head. It was I couldn't stop them, but could I stop them from doing it to somebody else? And that's when I left my body. I left it in an instant, and I just was there watching. And it was probably not long that I was away out of the body, but it was long enough to really feel it. Like there was not a time frame with it. But I remember thinking, what can I do? What can I do? And when I came back into the body, because I couldn't feel anything when I was out of the body, I could see the swollen face where she was punched. I could see the bruising in the neck and blood all coming from her head because she was pulled in by her hair into the car. So I could see all those, but I couldn't feel them. I couldn't taste the blood. I couldn't feel anything. As soon as I came back into the body, oh my God, you just felt everything. You felt all the emotions, you felt all the pain, you felt the whole lot all come flooding in all at once. But what I did get was I was told to forgive them, to pray for them. Now, I'm not a big religious person. I really aren't. So this was a little bit out of my league. But I remember just going, Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And that was probably the only one. I only knew 2 prayers, and that was one of them. So I said it, and I kept on saying it. And as I kept on saying it, I got louder and louder and louder. Of course, they hit harder and harder and harder because they were trying to shut me up. But I kept on doing it. And then I recited at the end, I recited the Lord's Prayer because I didn't know what else to do. But the crazy thing is, and again, I didn't know this until I'd read it in the books, the best way to get over something is to forgive. And I was doing that while they were attacking me. I was forgiving them. And it was a real strange. So when you ask if I've known that I've been intuitive, no, I have absolutely no idea. But what I've experienced, I must have been, because why the bloody hell would I do that?
Mm-hmm. I know that's a very early learning, isn't it? And to actually be able to forgive in those circumstances, that's obviously a sign of your, greater spirit, isn't it?
Has to be, because it's definitely not me.
No, exactly, yeah. So
yeah.
I think that's the hardest thing that people find is to forgive, where they've felt they've been wronged and deeply affronted, and and
as soon as we forgive, we give away all those emotions that we hold on to. And as soon as we start giving those, we can start to feel the real ones, the ones that our intuition, our spirit is actually kicking through to us. Yeah.
So is that how you then help encourage others to connect to their intuition? Is that part of that journey, or letting go? Or?
When I'm doing a coaching, like the intuitive coaching, one of the things I found really hard with the intuitive coaching is sort of saying, well, this is what I do. Because in all honesty, when you're coaching somebody, it's what they need that you can help them with, not necessarily what you do. So part of it is I've got like a lot of little tools and little programs that can help you connect with your intuition or develop your intuition, and that gives you the ability to start to trust yourself and trust those intuitive messages. Now, the first thing you sort of do is, well, you do meditation, but meditation can be done passively or it can be done actively. You don't have to sit there and om like the guru. You can actually do things like one of the biggest areas I had was hanging up my washing. It was just my time. No one else was around. No one was going to help me hang up the washing. So it was my time to just sort of put the washing out. You're doing something active, but you're allowing your intuition, your thoughts to come through. And another area that you're really strong with intuitive messages is by water. So my shower in the morning often get intuitive messages coming through then, because you're doing something, but you're allowing your thoughts to just go wherever they need to go. So when I'm teaching people, when I'm coaching with people, it's about finding out what their stronger area is, and then you sort of hone in on that and you work that out. Doing card readings, great way, absolutely perfect way to start letting your intuition come through. And I do flower readings. So I do a lot of the flower readings for your emotional goals, and I have an online course for those. So people can start to do those, and they see the physical and the logical aspect of a flower, and then they start to bring in that intuitive side to it. So I know this is what it's about. Colours mean la, 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 or red means this, 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 this. But what is it that is intuitively connecting with you and allowing it to come through? And that's those messages that get stronger and stronger and stronger as we grow, as we start to really develop it and hone in on it.
Yeah, so it is very much it's an art that you practice, because then you get more specific, and obviously the more specific that you can become, the more helpful it can, the more it can guide you in your decision making and your choice making, isn't it?
Absolutely, and it will guide you the right way, because it guides you in line with your true core values. It's not going to take you the wrong way. And people have said, "Oh, is intuition negative? Do you get any negatives?" No, it's messages. There's no It's not emotional. There's no emotional connection to it. It can create emotions when we're getting that. I remember one time I was having a dream that the devil was coming through my wall as a child, and I had little fish tanks in my bedroom. I was probably a teenager at that stage, and this vision was so strong, this devil, that it scared me so much that I obviously woke up. When I woke up, one of my fish tank, the power point was sparking, and I just bent down and unplugged it, and it stopped. It was the smell, that burning smell, that gave me the vision of a devil. And if it wasn't a nasty, nasty vision, I wouldn't have woken up. So it wasn't bad, but it could be perceived as bad. But it was actually positive, because if you had shown me a bonfire by the campfire, you know, like when we were all barbecuing our little marshmallows, I wouldn't have woken up and unplugged it. And that, if it kept on going, would have burnt the house down.
Wow. Wow.
So,
So that's, yeah, and that's how important it is just to respond, isn't it? When it's sort of and the more powerful the message or the signal, then, you know, definitely wake up and pay heed.
In the face are ones that you really need to listen to.
Yeah. And can it happen over a period of time that, you know, you get these nudges, you get these prompts, and then, you know, what happens if we do ignore that? I mean, obviously there could be quite serious consequences. So
yeah, they can, but I mean, the whole idea of the spirit giving us this information, this intuitive information, is to make sure we're on our life purpose. Now, again, life purpose isn't necessarily what we do physically. Life purpose is more about what the spirit needs to do. So it is going to guide you that way. So if you miss the first message, it's going to get the next one. I don't know if you've ever been in a car and you've got the radio going and you listen to something on the radio. I mean, I've done this, and I've turned to my partner and said, "Oh, did you hear that?" And he goes, "Nah, didn't hear anything." I heard it, and it was there, and it was clear. Why did I hear it and he didn't? Why was I tuned in and he wasn't? Because he didn't need to hear it. His spirit didn't need it, but mine did. And so that's sort of how it goes. And if I hadn't have heard it there and acknowledged it there, I may have heard it later on the way home from the trip. I might have heard it. So we're getting this information in lots of different ways. And like I said, we get it in environmentally, physically, emotionally, mentally. And even though, as I said, the spirit doesn't have the emotion, but it will trigger those emotions through thoughts, through different ways. So and when the information comes through, it comes through our chakras as well. So when we get it through the heart, that's when we're feeling that love, which is really nice. That's the strongest and easiest one to feel, yet we often get it through our solar plexus, which is where they come with the gut instinct.
The gut instinct, yeah.
Yeah. That's because the energy is coming through the solar plexus.
Yeah. And of course, I was recently on your podcast as well, talking about my heart story and how what happened when I ignored the heart, you know, and for me, it was quite serious consequences in a way, financial as well as sort of emotional. And
you were probably warned a few times, but you just didn't take it straight up. Yeah.
And I think now, because I am more aware, spiritually aware, I think, you know, I've been on this journey, I definitely would pay attention now, but and I think we do evolve, and that's part of my spirit evolve, or whatever, the personification or embodiment of my spirit as it is now. I'm progressing, aren't I?
Yes, absolutely. We're learning all the time. You know, that's what it's all about. But you could see that if you hadn't done that, this would have happened. A lot of these really soft, intuitive messages that we get, you're really unaware. You know, there's times there when you get something and you sort of go, am I crazy, or did that just happen? You know, you just really don't know. But one of the best ways to really hone in or to tune in as well is if you've got a question or you've got a decision you've got to make, ask about it first. One of the things for intuition is you've got to ask. You will then receive some information and then you deal with it how you're going to deal with it. So one of the things I used to do is when I went to bed, if there was something I needed to get an understanding of, I would ask. I would just talk out loud, say it in my head, similar to a prayer if that's what you want, or just sort of, about it, sort of, this is what I think I need to know. I don't understand. We're looking at selling our house. Should we sell our house? I just don't know. And sleep on it. And often you'll get dreams, you'll get understandings. When you have a shower in the morning, you get a little bit more information and you start to get those messages. You'll start to hear things on the radio. You'll start to see things. What does 1111 mean? You look up the angel numbers. You start to get these signs. These messages are coming around all the time. Just be aware of them. I've often said, because we don't believe in coincidences. So I'll often say to my partner, like, why did we need to see that? Like, I don't understand what that is. And we just acknowledge it. That's all. And half the time we don't know what it is. We never do. But there's that little bit of time, but we do. We sort of go, oh, that's why I need to see it, because often we need to see things 3 times before we start to act on them. Is that right, Esther?
Yes, definitely. It becomes almost painful. You can feel the prod.
Yes.
Yeah, so definitely. Yeah, and we had somebody watching just recently, or still back on, I think. There's somebody asking a question. I keep having a disturbing vision. I would love to know the message behind it. I see a red car, but is that too vague, or is that something that that person needs to just sort of sit with?
Yeah, look, when you're doing dream analysis, there's lots of different areas we look at. The basic thing for dream analysis, if you're dreaming about just yourself, it's about you. If you're dreaming about, say, a work colleague, then it could be about your career or your business. To see a red car means absolutely not much at all in that context. If there's this feeling behind it, is that red car creating fear? Is that red car creating anxiety? Why are you feeling disturbed with the dream? Because seeing a red car is not disturbing. So there's other elements to it that makes the red car disturbing. So you would have to go in a little bit deeper to get a good understanding of what that meant. Also, if you were coaching, if I was doing coaching with you, you would start to look at what's going on in your life, because a red card could mean you need to escape from something. A red card could be somebody's chasing you. So we don't know until you know what the elements are around what's going on, or you get a bit more information. A red card isn't enough information for me to say, well, this is what's going on.
Yeah, you're going to see the bigger picture, put it in its context, isn't it? So
yeah, exactly. Because you can look at car is the travel, movement, that side of things. You can look at the color red, but for her to say that it's disturbing, there's other elements about it, and they're the ones that I'd go, okay, I want to know what they are, and then I'll tell you what it means.
Yeah, but is it also the subconscious mind referencing something in the past as well, trying to make sense of something?
It could be. Yeah. Like I said, depending on what's going on in you now, but even if it is referencing something from the past, there's a reason why. We just don't do these for no reason. We don't have these I had a crazy dream last night. We don't have crazy dreams for no reason. And why I called mine a crazy dream is because it was so bitty. I couldn't get it to flow. I couldn't find a theme to it. Yeah. So.
But sometimes intuition isn't necessarily about making sense of things, is it? Or is it? I mean, do we want to make sense always of what's coming through?
Well, yeah, a lot of times you won't be able to. If it's like a dream, because with a dream, there's no barriers. So you can be jumping from here to here to here to here. So with a dream, there's no barriers. Time doesn't mean anything. Places don't, well, and mean something, but it doesn't in a dream sort of situation. And well, I suppose what you're asking is, are dreams all intuitive messages? I could turn around and say no, because not all of them are. Some of them are. No, actually, I think they all are. Sorry, I think they all are. I believe they all are. Now, what they mean can be so here, there, and everywhere. But I honestly believe that, yeah, there's The spirit is trying to say something. And if we're not getting it that way, it will go another way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that person's come back and said it's something involving her daughter. She's in a narcissistic relationship, and so she feels it calling her to undertake some action for either herself or her daughter. So
yeah. So what you're looking at, because narcissistic, red is passion, and if it's a deep red car, it's a deep passion, which can be very controlling, not like a narcissistic. My ex was a narcissistic, so I'm pretty tuned into that sort of stuff. But if she's having the dream, if mum's having the dream, if I've got this right, mum's having the dream and feels it's about her daughter. If mum feels that that's about her daughter, then you can just about guarantee it is about her daughter. And that's where you trust your intuition, because if that's how you feel, that's what it is. And it's almost like, now, again, I don't know what the car's doing. I'm only guessing, but it's like she needs to separate herself from that environment. But will she? And probably the feeling of, what did she explain the feeling to be? That
it's disturbing vision, wasn't it?
Disturbing.
Yeah.
Probably the disturbing part of it is the fact that mum doesn't feel like she can do anything about it or help. It's probably a situation where her daughter really has to do the hard yards, which would be so. No, it's not would be. My daughter was the same. It is so hard to watch. It is so hard when you're standing back and you can see these things happening. You're getting these messages and you can't do much about it. Yeah. But one little tip was just help your daughter trust herself. So when her daughter is talking about the relationship, and she will be doing that because she's trying to get an understanding of it herself, keep referring back to her daughter and saying, so what do you think you could do? Or what do you think you should do? Or is there something that I can help you with? Don't tell her what to do. Tell her how to think. Tell her to keep thinking, to keep getting an understanding of it. I'm really going off tangent, sorry.
No, that's fine, because I think that's very wise, because we have to be responsible for our own lives. And as soon as we try and start meddling, they're going to resent us anyway, aren't they? So because they feel disempowered. And I think it's you're the person to guide them, to be there, to say, I can support you, but how do you want to approach this? You're going to be continue to, are you going to be happy in this relationship? And if not, what can you do about it? Just sort of get them in a way to start inquiring about different possibilities, about solutions, isn't it?
Yeah. Keeping them open-minded, leaving things around. One of the things that I wish I had done a little bit better, I did in the long run, but at the time, because I was in a narcissistic relationship too. One of the things I wish I could have done a bit better was to show my two girls, how to live by example. I didn't. And I just felt that I could have taught them a lot more if I was true to myself instead of trying to pacify everything. So when I was trying to appease him, I wasn't being true to myself. And consequently, I wasn't being true to my children. So they didn't see the real me. So with this mum again, suggests that, you be the real you and show your daughter how to be the real her. And that's by trusting your intuition, by trusting how you feel. So that's where I'd go with that. Oh, really gone off tangent.
That's totally fine. So what can you recommend people do as a practice to just tune into their intuition? What are the things that you sort of coach others to do?
Well, one of the biggest things was meditation, and it's not about, like I said earlier, it's not about doing the guru thing. The most important part about meditation is giving yourself time. That is just giving yourself time to sit. You don't have to do anything. And for women, especially when I first started doing it, I had 3 teenagers at the time. We were on a 90-acre organic crop farm, so working crazy hours. To give myself 10 to 20 minutes a day to do some meditation was like chopping off 2 arms from my kids. Like it's just ridiculous. But I did it. I did it because I needed it. So That's the start. Give yourself at least 10 minutes a day just to sit, hide. If you have to hide in the toilet, do it. Lock the door. Don't let anyone in. No phones, nothing else either. But give yourself 10 minutes a day and try and work on that. And I tell you what, once you start getting used to doing that, it's really hard to stop. But when you do stop, because things do change, then you can do a little bit of active meditation. Active meditation, I walk every morning now. I do a 40-minute walk in the morning, and it just allows me to clear my head and allow things to come through. But the really, really good way to really start to hone into the messages. So meditation gives you the space to allow the messages to come in, but to really hone into the messages, oracle cards. Oracle cards are the bee's knees for that, right? When you're doing oracle cards, not necessarily tarot, but oracle cards, and the ones with just one word at the bottom of the card, like patience, or what else is it? You know, just one word at the bottom. You can have a look at the explanation for them and get an understanding of it. But when you start doing readings with oracle cards and you've just got one word, your intuition will kick in no end. When somebody says patience, what do you think of? Straight away I go, okay, patience. I need to breathe, need to stop. Stop trying to push everything coming forward. Allow yourself just to be where you need to be at this time. Things will come, things will happen. Be patient. Allow it to unfold. That's your intuition kicking in, lady. Woohoo.
I think I'm going to buy myself a pack of oracle cards now.
And just simple, when you look at them, just look, the pictures, you know, you've got to like the pictures. You can even go into the pictures, but try and get ones with just one word or a little sentence. That's it. And the other thing, of course, is I have to plug myself, you know, do some flower readings. If you don't know how to do flower readings, I've got online courses to show you.
Brilliant. Okay. So yeah, so you'll share some information, or we can put it in the comments afterwards, how people can hook up with you and link up in order to find out more, and yeah, if they want to sort of pursue this further.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Is there anything that you're running specifically at the moment, apart from your flower readings, and obviously your life mentoring? Is that a one-on-one, or is it a group program, or how does that work?
At this stage, I've just been doing one-on-ones. I'm just going through some rebranding, and from there I'll be going a bit further on. I would really love to do group work, like similar to this, and work with a group. I do a lot of workshops, but obviously here in Australia, and they're like flower readings and tree drawings and things like that. So I do a lot of those sort of workshops. I'm actually working with elite sports people, because I was a sports trainer for 100 years, I think. Well, 30 years, I think. And I've worked with high-profile athletes, and it's quite surprising. And working with corporate, when I get the guys, these big top-notch guys, to draw flowers, whoa, and they love it. Honestly, they love it, because
it puts them in touch with their feminine side, doesn't it? Because they've suppressed that for so long.
Then they go, well, what flower am I drawing? Well, what do you want to draw? Oh, shit, he goes. So he starts drawing, and they start to come out, and they start using colors, and their intuition kicks in. And then you read it and you say, well, because you've done it this way, this is what that means. And it blows them away, because they've done it. It's not me, it's them. They've drawn it, and then they're reading it themselves too. So it's just amazing. And doing that in a group, because this is emotional goals, but doing it in a group session. I did it with one team, and they were going, they were trying to create this project. They wanted to work out this project. So I said, okay, well, let's think about this project, you know, and I give them a little meditation, and then I'd say, because they don't know it's flowers, I don't tell them that. I give them a little meditation, and then they have to draw a flower about the project. So then you start seeing, you've got a table full of people, how each person feels about that project. And some of them, mate, they just don't want to be doing it. And you turn around and say, well, you know, this guy here, you know, the attention to detail he's got, why are you making him do that job when he should be doing this job? Look at that. So yeah, it's quite surprising. It's fun. Amazing. I love it.
Amazing. Yeah. So it's actually intuition is really making sure that we stay on track and we actually honing and developing those unique gifts that we have and bringing them out into the world, isn't it?
Yes, yes. And so with the flowers, especially the drawings and the tree drawings, it's allowing them to let their intuition become visual. Like, you know, you're drawing it there and they're not aware of it. So when you start to show them things like that, then they get those aha moments, which is really, really lovely to see. But get yourself a deck of oracle cards. You'll love it.
Okay, I'm going to do
it. Practice, like, I don't know, I'm not on your group, so I do apologize because I didn't know anything about it.
Oh, right.
When you're on these groups, I've got what have I got? Intuitive personal development. I've got a Facebook group. I reckon we should get on there and we should be doing some card readings for each other to practice.
Definitely.
To practice our intuition.
That'd be a good idea. Brilliant. Yeah. I'm up for that.
Yeah, all right, we'll do
that collaborative project. Yeah, fabulous.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're doing the intuitive personal development, and we'll start doing that. I think that's a great idea.
Fantastic. I'm game. I'm really up for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if you haven't got cards, we can show. You can have a look at my cards, and you can read my cards. How about that?
Oh wow! Yeah, brilliant. Fantastic. I definitely will buy one now. I definitely will.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Oh, thank you so much, Susan. Thank you. It's been really, really wonderful, a wonderful opportunity to interview you and for you to explore this topic of intuition, because I know it's like a pet subject of yours, and I'm sure people here in this group would definitely benefit from hearing what you have to say and how they can apply that to their own lives in a way that makes sense for them. And so let's carry on with this journey, isn't it? Our spirit or soul's journey.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what I'll do. I haven't got it on there now because I'll get it on there tomorrow. So wait until your tomorrow as well.
Yes.
But I'll put up a downloadable free card spread for you.
Oh, fabulous.
For listeners.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
So just be a little card spread. It will show you how to do it and all the rest. And you can get your own cards and then start practicing. How about that?
Yeah. Bingo.
Better write it down so I don't forget.
Yeah, I'll prompt you, don't we? Oh, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate you taking this time out, because it's the end of your day. So you're winding down, having a nice evening now. So enjoy your evening. And yeah, we look forward to hearing more from you. And yeah, definitely. We'll encourage my people here, whoever's interested, to visit your group as well. And yeah, we'll work together on this.
Thank you for having me. I really liked it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sue. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Really appreciate you taking the time out this morning. Bye.
Bye-bye.